Here's what's coming up on episode 20 of the Fitz Take Podcast.
Travis Hunter.
Colorado two-way player Travis Hunter is your 2024 Heisman Trophy winner. We'll talk about him winning the award and how close the race truly was. Plus, Bill Belichick is the new head coach of the North Carolina Tar Heels. Was it a good move for the 72-year-old? And how long does he stay in Chapel Hill? And in the new NIL era, is it fair to say that kids can become a bust in college? We'll break all of it down and so much more coming up. What's good, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome into yet another episode of the Fitz Take Podcast. I'm your guy, Jamarcus Fitzpatrick, but you know you can always call me Fitz. He's your guy, Elijah Nixon, a.k.a. E-Money, a.k.a. Eli, a.k.a. the pride of Connecticut, the fellow Connecticut over there. And all of that good stuff that we always like to talk about. Guys, we appreciate y'all so much for getting us here to this point. Thank y'all for subscribing to the channel. If you're not a subscriber and this is your first time watching our content, please hit the bell down below and subscribe to the channel. Also, go down in the description, follow myself, Elijah, and my production company, One Way Productions, on all of our social media platforms. If you are a listener of podcasts, go ahead and follow us there wherever you listen to your favorite podcast, iHeartRadio, Spotify. Still working to get on Apple. I don't know what's going on. Apple, hit me back. I'm trying to be on every platform, man. We trying to diversify our portfolio. You feel what I'm saying? So yeah, it was a very, very busy week for us here in Lafayette with the high school football state championships going on. But the 337 went 3 for 3 there in the Caesars Superdome. And Elijah, I don't know if that was your first time getting a chance to experience a clean sweep, but how was it for you, man?
Yeah, I think that was my first clean sweep. I think that was my first clean sweep because last year, I think one team lost, because Cecilia Appaloosas played, so we didn't have a clean sweep last year. So yeah, this was, and you could see I was talking to all the other Baton Rouge media and the New Orleans media, yelling 337. So I'm happy they got a clean sweep. For me and Catholic, I'm happy that Dartez goes out on top. I'm happy for Cecilia and Diesel going out on top. I'm happy for Catholic of New Iberia with Decimo getting his first one. So yeah, I mean those are great stories within those three high schools, and I'm happy that they were able to sweep. Now go and repeat next year. I mean it's gonna be a lot next, but it's gonna go and repeat next year.
Absolutely. Me and we both made the trek back after that Friday game and got back to Lafayette probably like 5 or 6 o'clock in the morning. But it was worth it, man. All in the day's work. And while we were doing that, there were other things going on around the sports world. And so let's hop right into things with take number one. It is our first play, and it is Travis Hunter, the two-way player for the Colorado Buffs, winning the 2024 Heisman Trophy. Hunter received 552 first-place votes and 2,231 points in a comfortable victory. Boise State running back Ashton Jeanty was the runner-up with 309 first-place votes, 2,017 points, which was the closest margin since 2009. Oregon quarterback Dylan Gabriel came in third. Miami quarterback Cam Ward finished fourth in balloting for the 90th Heisman Trophy presentation. Hunter is the first player since 1994 for Colorado to win a Heisman Trophy, as running back Rashawn Salam, excuse me if I'm mispronouncing your name, won it back in 1994 as the only Heisman winner in the school's history. So, Elijah, we had talked about it last week, and we made our picks. You picked Travis Hunter. I picked Ashton Jeanty, but I also mentioned on the back end that I did believe in the long run that Travis Hunter would win it. Now that we've seen it happen, we saw how emotional he was. We've also seen about all of the backlash that his girlfriend has been receiving online, that his mom has been receiving online for her comments of, she said that one of what people considered to be my biggest mistake has now become my biggest blessing. All of those things like that. Just the night in general, man. What did you take away from it, and how was it? Was it the right decision as well with Travis being the Heisman Trophy winner?
Yeah, I think it was the right decision. I think what Travis has meant to the game and what he's done for the game can be a changer for a while. I think we're going to see a couple more guys go two ways next year. I don't know what the gist of it, if they play, that many snaps, but I could see some guys going two ways coming in the college world, depending on the conference. Though I don't really see that in the SEC or the Big Ten. Though. But with that being said, man, Travis was well deserved because the level of competition that he did dominate from starting from Jackson State and then going to Colorado, he dominated on both of those terms. Not taking anything away from Ashton. I think Ashton had a phenomenal year. I think he is one of a kind. I think he's talent. He's ready for the pros. But I think with Travis, I think he's in the way of changing the game now. Seeing stuff with social media with his mom, what she said, and then with his girlfriend, not standing up immediately, and Dion had to tap her on the shoulder to tell her to stand up. I seen, him giving a shout out to his dad, and everybody was like, "Where's his dad?" And they say some wild stuff. I'm not gonna repeat some of the comments that I did read, but at the end of the day, man, nobody knows what goes on in that household. Only time we see Travis is when he's streaming, when he's playing the game that he loves, or whenever he's doing an interview. I don't think you should go out there and judge that man in his outside life because 9 times out of 10, you're not going to change his outside life. You're not going to change anything that he does in the house. I mean, the only people that can do that is the people that is close and dear near to him in his heart. Whatever your opinion is, whatever you want to judge on him, I don't think will ruin his night because he worked so hard to be that Heisman candidate and to be a Heisman winner. So I'm happy for him. I can't wait to see how he excels on the next level. I know he's going to play in the bowl game. But I know a lot of GMs were saying we love him at corner, and I do too. So I think I hope that's the side of the ball he lands on. I mean, I'm not sure where NFL minds got right now whenever they're drafting, but I think that Travis was well deserving of this, and to me, he was the best college football player in the world.
Yeah, man. I'm not surprised that the race was as close as it was because Ashton Genty did make a strong case to be a guy that strongly could be considered for the Heisman. Like I said, I truly believe that the difference was that he went to a Group of Five school and Travis Hunter went to Colorado, and things were marketed well enough for him. On top of the way that he played this season, because I do want to make that very clear that he did play extremely well on both sides of the ball. 1,000-yard receiver, multiple interceptions on the defensive side of the ball. I seen somebody quote tweeted the play. I can't remember who he was playing, but I think he was in like cover two, and he covered up a crosser route, a wheel route behind him, and then picked off a route underneath. And they were like, "Bro, he covered all three levels in one spot. Like, what are we debating on?" He is truly a phenomenal player. He was one of one this season. I think he will absolutely open a door for more players to get an opportunity to play on both sides of the ball. I think one of his teammates, Tyler Brown, who actually played at UL for a season, is a two-way player. But we'll see more of that as we go along, and get further away from where he is right now in college football. So he definitely deserved the night. And he was, very polished in the way that he spoke, and he had a clear message on what he wanted to get out there, letting people know. He made it clear he thanked God first. Hey, people always want to talk about who you thanking first. He thanked God first. Praise Jesus. So that's the most important thing off top. When it comes to, talking about his mom and his girlfriend and all that stuff like that, like, bro, this stuff ain't got nothing to do with y'all. You don't know anything about these people's lives. These people don't know y'all. Y'all don't know these people. It doesn't matter what your opinion really is. I know you're entitled to it, but it really don't matter at the end of the day because you don't pay his bills. You're not a person that's giving a heavy amount of influence on him. The people that are influential in his life were there. His grandma, his brothers, his mama, you know, Lil Wayne, which was random. That was as cool, but those people mean the most to him, and that's why they were there for that special day. I think for his girlfriend, a main thing that she will continue to learn over time, and I'm sure she's learned it or she's getting the gist of it now, is that you are under a microscope 24/7 because you are with one of the most talented players in the world. So every little step that you take, every little detail, and it can be frustrating, it can be taxing. So I'm not saying by any stretch that it's something that's going to be easy for her, but it's something that she's going to have to deal with as long as they are together. which I do believe with the way that he spoke about it that they will be together for quite some time. So that's how I feel about that. His mom's comments of what she said about she said what people determined as my biggest mistake. She was not calling that boy a mistake because I think she had him at a young age. And so, the first thing people say is babies having babies. Oh, you done ruined your life. That child shouldn't have been here. That child a mistake and all this stuff like that. And she just poured into her son and look what he's turned out to be. He's probably going to be the number one overall pick in this upcoming draft. He's the Heisman Trophy winner. He's going to set up generational wealth for his family. In the end, they won. So that's all that matters. That's all that matters. So congratulations to Travis Hunter. Congratulations to all those finalists because each one of those guys, Dylan Gabriel, Cam Ward, Ashton Genty, and Travis Hunter, are all going to go in the first round in this upcoming draft. So those guys are winners regardless. Ultimately, he is the Heisman Trophy winner, but all of those guys are truly winners and had a phenomenal season. So congratulations to all of those guys, but especially to Travis Hunter. With that, ladies and gentlemen, let's go ahead and make some forward progress with take number 2. And we are staying with college football, but going back to a team that we talked about a couple of weeks ago in the Marshall Thundering Herd. Obviously, they won the Sun Belt Championship against UL a few weeks ago. And then, of course, their head coach, Charles Huff, decided to go across the way and leave from the East Division and go back to the Wild Wild West and lead the charge for the Southern Miss Golden Eagles. And as a result, Marshall had buku players to hit the transfer portal. And as a result, Marshall has opted out of playing in the Independence Bowl against Army due to those transfer portal departures. 2 weeks ago, before the Independence Bowl against Army, Marshall, or 2 weeks before the Independence Bowl, Marshall is planning to opt out of the game. The Thundering Herd have lost 29 players to the transfer portal through the first week of the window. The first week, 30 players, 29 in the portal. The Independence Bowl is set for December 28th in my hometown of Shreveport, Louisiana. And the original game was matched up between the Army Midshipmen and the Marshall Thundering Herd. And now that game has been filled with the Louisiana Tech Bulldogs as a 5-7 team. ULM, I think, was also in the mix for a conversation forward, and then Minnesota and a few others and things like, or Minnesota, that happened to them in 2023. But ULM was another team that was in the mix, but ultimately it will be Louisiana Tech and Army playing in the Independence Bowl. Elijah, I think that's probably the largest amount of players that we've seen hit the portal, not just this cycle, but probably ever since the transfer portal has turned into what it is. How do you feel about the team deciding to opt out? Is it soft, like what some people are saying, or is it literally just like, bro, we don't have the bodies to field a proper game to get it done?
This is like my second time I ever seen something like this. My first time when I was in Alexandria, NSU. Corey Gibson took pretty much the whole team with him. I think one or two guys stayed behind, but took pretty much the whole team with him to Austin P. And the new coach had to come in and refill everything and fill his roster. But before I even get in deep dive into the Marshall thing, I want to say this: this is a aha moment right here. This is an aha moment to Marshall, and I'm gonna tell you, my man just wanted to get paid. He didn't want nothing else. That man just wanted to get paid. He come in. This year has a successful season. Last year was mediocre. It wasn't the best. This year has a great season. But now, you're telling me that you're thinking that, okay, we still not going to pay this man after he wins the East, or he's contending for the East, after he has about 15 players in the All Sun Belt, All American team, after he has the newcomer and the MVP on his team. Okay. You're telling me that you're just going to let him walk. He didn't walk to the University of West Virginia, which is a step up. He didn't go to Cincinnati. He didn't go to, what's else in it? Whatever else is in the West Virginia or the University of Virginia area. He didn't go to the University of Virginia, nothing. That man stayed in the conference and went to Southern Miss. Southern Miss. So not only are the players pretty much either going to declare for the draft, they're probably going to take their talents to Southern Miss, which is the same exact conference. This is ridiculous for Marshall. I mean, I don't know everything that happened behind the scenes, but it's okay for a man to ask for some cheese. It's all right for some man to ask for a little bit of pay. He just want a little money. I just want if I'm working hard, I just want a little money to come behind that. It's all right. That's all right. And now you got to reap what you sow because now you're not only losing out in a bowl game, um, you're losing out on all of these players that potentially could have came back to help your team win probably another Sun Belt championship. To me, I'm not going to say the Sun Belt championship is void at Marshall because it'll always stood there and always will stand there. But at the same time, brother, um, Marshall, you dropped the ball. You dropped the ball on who I think was probably a great coach, who probably was willing to change the culture around, who was willing to do everything to make sure Marshall would be a powerhouse in the Sun Belt Conference as long as he was there. So uh, I don't feel bad for Marshall. Um, I don't feel bad for him at all. Them dropping out, all of these guys dropping out, you have nothing else but to do with 30 players on a college team. You might as well drop down to a high school Class 1A because that's what you are when you got like 30 guys left on this roster. So at the end of the day, bro, like I don't feel bad for Marshall at all. I don't feel bad. I'm happy Louisiana Tech get another chance. I was hoping ULM get in there because I thought they were well deserving of it. But I do not feel bad for Marshall at all because they did accomplish what they thought was the peak of what they needed to accomplish, and that was winning the Sun Belt. And you guys didn't accomplish what the peak, what they wanted to accomplish, which was paying that man and keeping him there so you keep your players there. So I don't feel bad at all.
Yeah. You said a mouthful there, bro. Like, it's crazy that 29 guys left the team. What people I think are mostly more upset about is that Marshall committed to playing in the game beforehand, and then as a result of all of the portals, they're like, nah, we gonna go back out. So they feeling like you shouldn't have gave your word for it. You shouldn't have accepted the bowl bid. But it's like, bro, at the same time, like, there's no way that they knew that they were gonna lose 30 guys to the portal. There's no way that they knew that. And it's a wild thing to happen. But like you said, what did you expect when you didn't pay the guy that won the Sun Belt? Like I get that he said that he doesn't like to do contract negotiations during the season because it takes away from what he's able to do in terms of preparing for the team. But you got to get his agent on the phone and put some kind of offer letter in front of him because now, obviously Southern Miss is in the Western Division, but if you ever play in the championship game, Tony Gibson is now your new head coach. But if you ever face him, if it's ever put up on the schedule, you're gonna have to face that man. You're gonna have to see him. And unless he, stays at Southern Miss for one season and decides to leave, you're gonna see him for a couple of seasons. So you're gonna have to deal with this. To people that are saying that this team is soft and all those things like that, look, bro, like it physically in preparations. If you have, say, you have, you know, 70 guys available on the roster, like I think back to when LSU got rid of Ed Orgeron and they went to the bowl game and they played against Kansas State, I think it was in the Texas Bowl, and they had a wide receiver playing quarterback. I can't think of what homie's name was, like Jonte something, but he was a wide receiver all season, and he played. Wow. Well, I was just looking at the Saints game in the background. I'm sorry, they went for 2 and didn't get it, so they lost the game by 1 point. My point being this: uh, the LSU at the time had to play a receiver at quarterback. And I get it. That just shows how gutsy they are and all this stuff like that. And they're fighting tigers and how much they're willing to, get it done and all that stuff like that. But bro, like, that's a lot of bodies that's not a part of the team. Like, not being able to practice properly, rotate guys in and out and all this stuff like that. You know, I don't think that they were wrong for pulling out. But at the same time, you should have paid your coach. You wouldn't have even had to deal with this because I think all of their quarterbacks are gone. the newcomer of the year, Braylon Braxton, the backup, and I think the third string guy who didn't even have any stats went to the portal too. Like that's what's gonna happen. But I don't know, man. It's a interesting topic, an interesting deal. Uh, we shall see how many more players enter the portal for them by the time this first window closes, which I believe it closes on December the 28th. So they have about another 2 weeks before the portal officially closes. And we'll see how it goes. So, with that, ladies and gentlemen, let's go into take number 3 and let's fly out. Last week, we talked about Bill Belichick interviewing with the Tar Heels of North Carolina. And now the 72-year-old has come to grips or come to terms with the Tar Heels football team, as now he has agreed to a 5-year deal with the North Carolina Tar Heels. Trying to see if I can find the logistics of that number. And one of the most stunning and compelling moves in college football history, 6-time Super Bowl winning coach Bill Belichick was named the new head coach at North Carolina on Wednesday night. North Carolina officials said the sides agreed on a 5-year deal, which was approved by the Board of Trustees during an emergency meeting on Thursday. It is reported, I believe, that he was getting $50 million out of the deal, and it's for $10 million a year. We literally were talking about this last week. So now to see that Bill Belichick will be a part of college football, Elijah, was this a good move for the Tar Heels? What is this going to do for college football, and how long do you think he'll stay in college, if he will, for a long period of time?
Man, I'm afraid to make a prediction because last time I made it, we said he ain't going. 2 days later, I'm a Tar Heel baby. Like, oh hey, Bill, give me a week, give me a week. But I think that like what we were saying earlier, college football is bigger. It's getting bigger every year. Not knowing how many more playoff teams they can add in the next decade or so, but you got it's getting bigger and better. Longer, better. I'm sorry, longer seasons, more games. So you're gonna need somebody, and as they're getting ready for the pros, why not grab Bill? I mean, I'm not a big fan of it. I said that last week. Not an advocate of it, but I can understand it in a sense of get them ready for the pros and try to, mold the players as much as they can as they get to the professional level. So it's just saying to me that programs want to sell tickets. They want to sell tickets and get butts in the seats. I don't know what North Carolina fan base was like prior, but at this moment, who doesn't want to see Bill Belichick play? Who doesn't want to see Bill Belichick not play but coach and see what happens? And it's not like this is the first time it happened. We see Dion, but before that, you've seen I can't think. What's the guy that was at Grambling State? He used to coach for the Cleveland Browns. He was
Broderick,
at
not Broderick Fobbs. God, I know who you're talking about. I'm calling every black coach, but the one that it actually is.
yeah,
Hugh Jackson. I think it
Hugh
is Hugh
Jackson.
Jackson.
Hugh Jackson at Grambling State prior. I know. Um, you know, I heard Ray Lewis was getting like looks and stuff to be a head coach. So it's like we seen it before. People in the pros, and there was coaching staffs of the pros. I mean, Eric Bieniemy was in college before he got fired a couple weeks ago. So we seen it, and it happens. Now we just want to see how it works, especially with Bill, man, because personality means a lot. Dion personality shows a lot with Colorado. I can. I don't think we're going to see the same thing with Bill Belichick. Not saying he doesn't pour into his players, but it's a different way how he pour into his players. So I just think that I think is it the right move for North Carolina? I want to say yeah. If you're just talking about trying to build pros and put butts in seats. But I got to see how it all plays out because in this new college football, in the new football period, you can't be a bland guy and lead in that way. Everybody wants to see some type of emotion when it comes to being a leader. You can't just sit back and be like, "Well, that happens." Like, no, you gotta be out there and show, put energy out there. So I want to see what happens with Bill Belichick and University of North Carolina, and hopefully TV helped out and brought some personality out there. So we'll see.
Yeah, him and the personality, and also the 24-year-old girlfriend that he has. That's neither here nor there though. The Tar Heels, the last 4 seasons that they have played in, they have reached a bowl game and they lost all of them. So this isn't particularly a blue blood of a football program. This is a basketball school. So I think Bill Belichick going here, it presents a challenge not only for himself, but also to the program to say, like, all right, like I think I read that they said that they were going to start dumping more money into the NIL collective to give him an opportunity to get talented guys to come and play for the Tar Heels. So this is going to present a challenge for both sides of the spectrum. Bill Belichick is going to have to be able to relate to these college kids and deal with NIL and the transfer portal and all of that good stuff. But then also North Carolina is going to have to bend their knee a little bit and say, okay, what things can we do to make sure that not only do we keep him here, but that we turn this program into a winner and that we start being able to not necessarily just win a national championship, but to compete to get in the college football playoff picture. They just want a spot in the picture. They want to get in the frame to start off with. And I think getting somebody of his caliber definitely is a starting point because, like I said last week, schematically and when it comes to football knowledge and knowing how to win, Bill Belichick gonna be able to do that. He ain't gonna be calling no great offense, but he know how to deal with defense. He knows how to handle up on defense. And because he is the experienced guy that he is, and he has been able to figure things out over the years of his career, I think that this is going to be something that definitely turns into a W for the Tar Heels in the long run. And shout outs to them also of not making this a stupid long commitment like LSU did, giving a Brian Kelly a 10-year deal, you know. But it's a long enough commitment to where they can say, okay, you're here. You got about 3 seasons to really show us if you can make something shake or not. And then from there, we'll be able to figure out what we want to do for the future. Now, how long he stays in Chapel Hill, I'm not sure because the brother is 72. So by the time that deal is over, he'll be 77. Now, I know you're only as young as you feel, but that man's still 70 something. I don't know. So we gonna see. We gonna see. And I know he was on Inside the NFL with Ryan Clark and Chad Ochocinco and Chris Long and Jay Cutler and those guys. So that gave him an opportunity to be in the media space a little bit more. But as a coach, we know Bill Belichick ain't trying to do all that talking and kikiing and all that stuff like that. Players have said behind the scenes that he is, cool, that, he knows how to have a good time and joke and all that stuff like that. But when it comes to getting in front of them cameras, you're not going to get nothing. You're not going to get a inkling of the game plan, all this stuff like that. So we shall see. Bill Belichick being the new head coach of the North Carolina Tar Heels, we will be able to really figure out if this is what they want and what this will do for college football moving forward. And so, with that, ladies and gentlemen, we are going to round out our show with our Fitz Take. We're blowing right through this one real quick. In today's time of the college football world, the NIL era, and all of the things that are going on, guys are getting paid boatloads of money. Matt Rule said it, the head coach of the Nebraska Cornhuskers. He said that if you want a good quarterback in the transfer portal, it's probably going to cost you $1 million to $2 million. And with the way that these guys are making money, we've talked about in the past on this show of how at some point they're going to have to probably start putting out some kind of salary cap or something like that, or they're going to have to cap it some kind of way. And once they do that, they're going to have to make it to where these kids, all of their money is going to be public and made to be able to be seen by the media and the public and fans and all of those things like that. The same way that we know how much NFL players are making. But with that, like, is it truly going to be fair that you can call a kid a bust? Like, obviously we see that they're a bust because of what they do on the field and things like that, but because of the amount of money that they're about to start making, the same way that people talk about, NFL bust of, how they did in the NFL. You think about a Ryan Leaf, you think about a Jamarcus Russell, and so many other guys. Will there be college players receiving the same type of heat of if they're a bust or not because of the amount of money that they're making. We had this conversation starting it off uh, at this pizza place there in New Orleans, and we started talking about that. And I thought there'd be something that we could bring up again. So, Elijah, the same way that we were talking about it the other day, will kids truly be considered a bust? Like, will a kid like Bryce Underwood be considered a bust if he does not win a national championship at the University of Michigan?
I hate that logic, only because they're kids. Um, Personally, I'm gonna say no. I'm gonna say no, because to me, speaking of Bryce, we're giving him LeBron expectations, and he never even touched a football in the college world, let alone the pro world. I want to say no, but I get the aspect of it. If you pay him, what people are gonna say, well, we pay him all this money, and do this, and that. I get it. I get you. I get you. But these kids was on full scholarships before. I know they wasn't touching no money like that. They was on full scholarships and they didn't deliver. Um, I feel like if you're gonna call people bust, then you need to keep that in the same energy, the same field. And I'm not saying that Shador's a bad player, but is he a bust because he didn't win a national championship? I mean, when Dion first walked into Colorado, he said, "I'm bringing Louis." If you all remember, that Louis didn't make the conference championship game. So are we calling him a bust? And I know that Shador's not touching Bryce money, but at the end of the day, man, I don't like that because these are kids. These are like they're coming fresh out of high school and things of that nature. So when they get to the pros, that's different. The pros is a little different for me. College is you're fresh out, you're still learning the basics. Nine times out of 10, you didn't learn how to really play football. You just was more athletic than everybody else. Um, that's the truth about it. Like it's not like they really understood the game coming out of high school. They're just more athletic. Uh, Quarterbacks, some of them have bigger arms, some of them are bigger, some of them stuff like that. Like you know what I'm saying? So it's like it's not like they had full knowledge and full grasp of a football game yet. So I hate that logic in that sense, but I understand it. But I would never agree with it because I just think, like I said, these kids are just they're just kids, man. They're still learning, they're still growing, they're still putting things together. Um, and on top of that, man, on top of that, it's only could be one national champion. There's like 118 teams, college teams, I think, in Division One or 117, something like that. 117 not going. I guarantee it's going to be the same 10 teams that's competing for the next 10 years. So we're not going to see anybody have a lot of chances in that sense. So if you don't call him a bust for not winning the championship, uh, I can't agree with it. But if you call that man a bust because he didn't live to his expectations of not playing well, not winning a Heisman, because you could play well and not win a championship. Like you could play. Jaden Daniels played well. Him and Malik played well in their last year at LSU, but they weren't contending to win the championship. So if Bryce plays well and he doesn't win a championship, that doesn't mean that he's a bust, guys. And that's where I'm going with it. It's just let's not just call people a bust because they make X amount of dollars and they didn't deliver on that championship. Because football is 11 man, is a team sport. It's not just one guy. So that's where I'm at with it.
Yeah. I do think that it's not fair to these kids because a lot of them, they're coming out of high school, they're 18 years old. By the time they leave college, if they play for 5 years with a red shirt, which most of them don't make it to their fifth year, a lot of guys are leaving their junior years or their red shirt sophomore years. They're between 20 to 22. And you got some guys that in their careers that they are kind of late bloomers. Like you don't like a lot of guys that might be a 5-star might not be a 5-star talent in college, but say that they go and get into the NFL and they go become a superstar. You know what I'm saying? Like I think about a guy like Mason Smith for LSU. Was playing phenomenal, tore his ACL, and came back for another year afterward, and wasn't exactly as explosive as what he was in the past. It still was a second round pick. Is he a bust? That's to be determined. He could go and be 4 years in the NFL and then have a breakout fifth year, get a big contract, play 2 or 3 great years. Is he not a great player at that point? I get that it's a what have you done for me lately type of, sporting realm that we're in. And because there are so many dollars and cents put on top of these games and the sports betting and the NIL collectives and all of these things that are going on, it's easy for people to say, oh, this kid's a bust. Like I've seen people talking about Sage Ryan under the post that I made about him entering the portal. He just wasn't good enough to play here. He's a bust. Bro, what that kid is like 21, 20? He came there in 2021 as a freshman. He didn't play right out the bat. They played him at nickel. They played him at boundary corner. And last year, or this current season that we're still under, he played safety, which is his kind of natural position, right? And he finally had a pretty good year. Pro Football Focus, he was, I think, like the second or third best defensively ranked player on the whole team. So it's not really fair to him to say that he's a bust because he didn't ask to be a 5-star. I just once you hear 5-star, you expect that man to be Superman. Like we're not going to see a whole lot of LeBron Jameses and Travis Hunters, and those are once in a lifetime type of people, and everybody thinks that they have the next LeBron. Everybody thinks that they have the next Travis. Bro, just be you. Just be you. Let those kids develop and turn into whoever they are, and let them be them. I get that they're making lots of money, and that now takes it to where this is no longer him being an amateur and a amateur sport anymore, and all this stuff. They're a professional now because of the type of the money that they're making, bro. But they still kids. Like Jakeem Stewart, the kid at Carr that just signed with USC, he gonna enroll, and I think he's still gonna be 17. Like, if he don't play well in 2 seasons, what will he be, like 18 or 19 years old? Is he a bust? No, because he's like 18 or 19 years old. He's got time to still develop. There's so many different people that I could probably name on and on and on that truly are not busts. So I don't think it's fair to say that any college kid could be considered a bust right off the bat, regardless of how much money they're making or the expectation. Because truthfully, a lot of these kids are not probably asking for this. It's just what the market value dictates. Think about it. Bryce Young, I'm sure he has some form of representation, but I think LSU was going to pay him like 1.5 or something like that per year, or something like that. So it would have been like 6 million over 4, right? I mean, I'm sure he wasn't going to turn it down, but I don't think that he was coming right out the gate saying, I need $2 million, I ain't coming, right? But as a result of that 1.5 being laid out there, Michigan absolutely had to, in order to get him to commit there, they had to pull a boatload of money out and say, take it or leave it. That's not his fault. It's just the game. The game is the game, man. The game is the game. So whether you want to agree with it or not, and that's just our takes, we'd still love to hear yours down in the comments. Is it fair to say that a kid can be considered a bust in college, especially in the early parts of his career, whether he's a 5-star or no stars? Is it fair to call a kid a bust? The college football playoffs begin this weekend, beginning on Friday. The first ever 12-team college football playoff. I think it's Indiana and Penn State that kick us off that Friday. So it's going to be a very fun, jam-packed weekend for sure for the college football playoffs. It'll be truly an exciting one. So, Elijah, you got anything else, my man?
College football playoff start, like you said. Hey man, it's the last go around for some football, man. I'm gonna be kind of sad because once football season over with, I don't really trickle into basketball season until like after All Star break. So you know,
Still got college basketball, man. We gonna have to start sprinkling some women's college hoops in here too.
yeah,
Start sprinkling some of that in there. Them South Carolina women, they still hooping, and LSU playing UL as we're recording this episode. Let me see what that score is, because I think UL was down 51-38 in the third quarter. That's really not that bad. Shout out to UL. It's not that bad.
you got my
So
girls.
yeah, and I think Paige Beckers and Paige Beckers and Juju Watkins. So it'll be USC and UConn are supposed to play one day this week coming up. I seen a commercial for it. So it's ramping up. We're gonna have some good matchups coming up pretty soon, man. But you know what? It's gonna be time for some March Madness, brother. It's gonna be time for it. So with that, ladies and gentlemen, we thank y'all once again for tuning in to another episode of the Fitz Take Podcast. Thank you so much to all of our subscribers. If you're not a subscriber and you made it to this point in the video, hit the bell down below. And then while you're scrolling down to hit the bell, scroll down a little bit further, go down to the description, follow myself, Elijah, and my production company, One Way Productions, on all our social media platforms. Guys, we thank y'all so much for everything that you've done to get us to this point. The next episode that we'll be getting ready to record will be right before Christmas. So if in case we forget to say it then, happy holidays, Merry Christmas, and a soon to be Happy New Year to all of y'all out there from us here at the Fitz Take Podcast. So signing out for Elijah Nixon, I am Jamarcus Fitzpatrick. We'll see you guys next time. Thank you so much for watching this clip of the Fitz Take Podcast. Be sure to like this video and also subscribe to the YouTube channel. And also follow me and Elijah on our social media platforms. They will be linked down in the description. And remember, every episode of the Fitz Take Podcast will air right here on the YouTube channel every Monday at 2 p.m. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you next time.